question for all of you. This may be a stumper that you'll have to think about, but this question is, what do you get when you have a 17-year-old girl, a mystical cat, and a cursed chair that go on an adventure across Japan? Think about it, because the answer might stump you. Anyway, the answer to this is the movie Suzume. Suzume was, it was an interesting movie to see. Like, it was written and directed by Makoto Shinkai, and the guy's a legend in Japanese movies. I mean, he directed and wrote movies like Weathering with You and Your Name. Those movies are amazing. He also did Garden of Words and 5 centimeters per second. But I haven't seen either of those. But Weathering with You and Your Name were both movies that were just beautiful to watch, have a great story to it, and just a fun date movie. Like, if you go out on a date and you go to her house or she comes to yours, just make a bucket of popcorn and watch that movie, because it's a great movie. Anyway, Suzume, honestly, I didn't feel that way about Suzume. I honestly thought it was kind of boring. I'm not saying that Suzume was bad, technically. It's just, it's very different from his usual stuff. In this one, he goes deep into Japanese logic. So if you don't know anything about the Japanese logic, then you most likely won't understand this story. Like, I know that, the movie Your Name goes into Japanese logic too, but in that movie, it explains the logic a lot behind it. Like, it's still confusing, but you can still kind of follow along where they're going with it. But with Suzume, it's kind of like, if you don't understand that part about Japan's history, it still doesn't explain it, so you're kind of lost in why it's so important that these two characters are doing what they're doing. So, yeah, story-wise, it's okay. Like, anyway, when you go to see it, like, when you go to a movie in the theaters and a trailer comes and you're not sure if you're gonna go see that movie or not because you didn't like the trailer, that's how I felt when I saw the Suzume trailer. Like, I'm not sure if I wanted to see it even. But it was on Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll was free because I'm subscribed to it, so I decided to give it a try. Anyway, I'm gonna give a review of what went down. And if you haven't seen the movie, hopefully this will give you a decision if you're gonna see it or not. So, let's get to it. The movie starts off like a horror would. I mean, we got this girl doing like deep breathing, and then we see this little girl just walking through this field where the field's just like covered in stars, and the field's messed up itself. I mean, there's ruined buildings everywhere, and there's even a ship on top of the field. And the little girl is just like calling out for her mom. And then you get this point of view of the girl where she turns around and there's this woman there, which we assume is her mom. And then the girl wakes up and it turns out it was just a dream. And we get Suzume in her bed. So ever since Suzume was a little girl, she's been living with her aunt Tamaki. Anyway, Tamaki leaves for work, Suzume leaves for school, and on her way to school, she rides down the hill from her house where she runs into this strange man. His name is Sota, and Sota stops Suzume for a few seconds, and he says, "I'm looking for ruins, specifically a door. Have you seen anything like remote to that?" And Suzume is just like, totally puzzled by this question, but she's like, there are a couple ruins up the hill past my house, but that's all there is. Like, there's no door or anything. And the guy's like, "Oh, that's perfect, thank you." And he continues walking up the hill, and Suzume's like, "Okay, that was a little weird." And so she goes to the train station on her way to school. And there she's like talking with her friends. And then she gets this strange idea like, hey, I forgot something at my home. I need to go back up there. Don't wait for me. I'll get to school on my own. And she goes up to the ruins herself. And she's calling around for this man. There's just ruins. There's nothing there. And she does find a door, actually. And when she opens it, like, you would expect there to be nothing, just the other side of ruins. But it's a field of gray sky, just stars, everything we see at the beginning when there was the little girl. And Suzume walks into the door, and you expect her to be in the field, but she just crosses back on the other side of the ruins. And then she goes back and forth across the ruins, where she then stumbles across this little stone thing that she pulls out of the ground. And the stone comes to life, it seems, and runs away. And this is when Suzume gets creeped out by this, and she's like, I'm getting out of here! And she runs away. And the next scene we get is her at school. So Suzume is at school, and she's having lunch with her friends, talking about their lives. And then Suzume looks out the window of the classroom, and she sees smoke on the hill. She's like, hey, do you see that smoke? Is something bad happening right now? And her other friends are like, what are you talking about? There's no smoke anywhere. And then they all get earthquake alarm on their phones. And then Suzume like sees this giant like worm dragon thing coming up from the mountain. And she's like, there it is again! Do you see it? Do you see it? And her friends are just like, girl, you're crazy. There is nothing there. And Suzume, she decides to cut the rest of school and go riding up into the mountains again where the ruins were. And when she gets to the ruins, she sees this man trying to seal the door. The one that was asking Suzume about the ruins. And he's trying to seal this door where this giant pink cloud smoke is trying to come out of. Basically, it looks a lot like the smoke beast from Lost, if you ever saw that show. It's such a stupid show, but it's what the creature looks like. Anyway, the man's like, get out of here, this place is dangerous, I don't want you anywhere near her, you're in danger. And Suzume's like, I don't care, I'm helping. And together, they're able to close the door, and he uses this special key to lock it. It's kind of a fun action thing. It's setting up the whole movie. It's kind of cool. Anyway, Sota got hurt when they were trying to seal the door. I mean, when they were in the ruins, a giant I-beam was falling and Sota pushed Suzume out of the way and it cut his arm. So Suzume's taking Sota up to her house to bandage up his wound. And when they get to his house, she's doing this medical work on him, just bandaging up his arm. And then this cat shows up, called Daijin. And Suzume's like, would you like to stay here and be my cat? And then Daijin unexpectedly speaks, and he's like, Suzume, stay! And then he looks at Sota and he's like, you're in the way. Goodbye! And then Sota vanishes. And the chair that he was sitting on starts moving. And like, you hear Sota's voice from the chair. And then the chair, possessed by Sota, jumps out the window and starts chasing after Daijin. And Suzume's like, where are you going? And she runs after the chair Sota, which is running after the cat Daijin. It's really funny. It's like a whole chase through Suzume's whole town, and it ends up with the three of them on a ship heading out of town, and the cat on the pier is like, Suzume, you did a good job. See you later. And he jumps off the ship. And Suzume and Sota are like, well, this stinks. So, yeah, that part was kind of funny, actually. So, with nothing to do, we finally understand what Soda is and what his duty as a family is. He's what's known as a closer, and these people travel Japan looking for ruins and closing doors to prevent this giant, what's known as the worm. That was the giant beast that I said looked like the smoke monster off Lost. Anyway, the worms like cause earth destruction, so they go around sealing those doors, and we learned that Daijin, the cat, was known as the Keystone, and his job was keeping the worm in place inside the ruins, inside the door. So now they gotta get Daijin back to become the Keystone and get Soda back to human form from his chair form so he can seal the door. It's a really cool story, it seems, but just the pacing is really bland. It's kind of boring to watch. And yeah, it's not the most entertaining show at this point. So, the ship ends up docking at this place in Japan called Ahima, and the cinematography in this movie is beautiful. Like, I've never been to Japan, but just the scenery they use in it, oh, it's so pretty, man. Like, just the landscapes. I would love to see Japan and their landscapes and stuff. Anyway, they land in this one port where they're just traveling through this area looking for the cat so they can keep him as a keystone and seal the door and end this madness. And they run into this one student who offers them to stay at their home for the night, and they end up stopping this worm destruction again, which is happening at this school. Which is kind of cool. Like, this cat's like, Suzume, you did a good job. And then he runs off again. So at this point, you're thinking, like, the cat is the one that is causing the destruction right now. He's not doing his job. He's letting the doors open. It's a whole mess right now. Anyway, Suzume and Sota, they spend the night at this little girl's house. It's kind of fun to hear them talk and everything. What's funny is there's this one scene in the morning where Suzume is trying to wake Sota up, and she heard that maybe it's like a fairy tale thing that you need to wake him up with a kiss. And before she kisses the chair, she's like, "Where's your mouth?" And then Sota wakes up, but that would be hilarious if he woke up and was like, "Ooh, what is this feeling that you are doing?" I thought that would have been funny. Anyway, from seeing clips on Twitter and Facebook and things like that, Sota and Suzume learn that Daijin is in Kobe, and that's why they gotta go to get him. But unfortunately, they're at this bus stop, and they learn that Kobe, the next bus to Kobe, is like 6 hours away. So they're sitting at the bus stop in the rain, where this lady pulls up, and she's driving by, and then she goes in reverse, and is like, "It's a long wait till the next bus, honey. You need a ride?" Which is awesome. I love her. Like, she has such a small part, but her lines are awesome. Anyway, when this lady is driving Suzume and Sota out to Kobe, she then gets an announcement that her daycare has been cancelled, and she's like, "Well, shit! I mean, I have no one to take care of these kids now." So she's looking at Suzume and she's like, "Hey, would you be willing to do me a favor?" And then we get this clip of Suzume taking care of the kids, and just the way that Suzume is like taking care of them, like, it just reminded me of how I take care of my own nieces and nephews whenever my sister and her husband come to visit, which I don't mind. Like, I'm such an ambivert, and I'll play with kids the way that she plays with them for a little bit. But I just like my space so much. Like, if I ever get married and have kids, That is what I'm dreading, because I get tired of hanging out with kids. Like, they start to get on my nerves, so it would be interesting if I ever have kids. Anyway, that seems fun to watch, seeing them exhaust Suzume and Sota. So, after taking care of the kids, Suzume is asked to do more. This is basically, she's being taken advantage of at this point. Like, this lady asked her, like, they're short this night, can she work in the club? She's not gonna have to work the floor, but she's working the bar, like getting drinks for everyone. But, after a point, she does see Daijin in the bar, and then she runs off, and Sota chases after her. And, they chase, Daijin up to this one Ferris wheel area where this, like, amusement park where everything had been shut down years ago. And they see that the door is open and the worm is coming out. And you got this shot of Daijin who does this, like, evil, sinister meow. Like, my plan is working. It honestly kind of made me laugh. But you got Suzume and Sota who make this plan. Suzume is going to be closing the door while Sota goes after Daijin to get his body back. And as Sota's chasing Daijin, he tackles Daijin into, like, this power building, and it starts everything up. So Suzume is holding onto the Ferris wheel while she's trying to close this door. And she does get this glimpse that it's her mother telling her to come inside. And it's all intense because Sota realizes what's going on, and he's trying to call to Suzume because she's walking to the other side of the Ferris wheel cart where she'll just fall off the edge to her death. And thankfully, Sota does get inside the cart next to Suzume, where they're able to seal the door again and stop the earthquake. And then Sota tells Suzume that what she saw wasn't real, that was basically the afterlife, and that they call it the ever after. But it's a pretty intense scene. I mean, you got a part where, like, these two main characters are separated, and if one is about to die, and the other has to work as fast as he can to help the other survive. It's actually a fun scene. I liked it. So, after the whole nightclub thing, they sealed the gate again in Kobe. This lady drops Suzume and Sota off in Tokyo, where, once again, they go looking for the cat keystone Daijin. And they're walking through the streets, and Sota's like, be careful, Suzume, keep your eyes open. Daijin is so small, he can be anything and anywhere. And then we see Daijin just being this little brat cat. He's like, Suzume, good job for coming this far, let's play! And he just runs off. But we get a awesome, like, POV shot, point of view shot of Sota running after Daijin to get Daijin to transform Sota back into his human form from being the chair. It's really cool to see, like, well, you get this shot of a cat being chased by a chair, but the POV of running through the street by Sota is really cool. It was a really cool shot to see. I enjoyed that. So after they can't catch up to Daijin at this point, they feel another earthquake happening. Suzume gets the alarm on her phone, and she tells Sota another alarm is happening. They need to hurry, find the worm, and seal the door before it can break out. And then they realize that the worm is coming through a subway pass, which they have no idea of locking up. No way of locking it up. And so the worm escapes into the sky, which Sota, for some reason, is able to jump onto it and hang onto it, and Suzume does the same thing, which, like, people are thinking that she's a girl that's gonna commit suicide or whatever because they can't see the worm. And then she jumps, and she passes right through it, but Sota grabs a hold of her before she falls, and it's this whole thing, like, they find Daijin on the worm saying, like, this is a fun game, I like playing with you two! And then Suzume's like, Daijin, we need you to return to your post as a keystone. You need to stop this. And Daijin's like, that can't be possible. And Sota's like, what are you talking about? You're the cause of all this. You need to fix it. And then Daijin's like, I really thought you were smart, Sota. I'm not the keystone anymore. You are. And Sota's like, I need to be locked away with this worm. It's my duty now. Suzume, please let me have my duty if I'm the keystone now. So, Suzume sadly ends up locking Sota away as the chair form of a keystone. It's a sad bit, honestly. But, yeah, in order to save the world, like, the whole time they're arguing, Daijin's like, lots of people are gonna die if you don't do this! And it's insane because you know that the worm's gonna destroy the world if she doesn't seal it, but it's a super hard choice to make because she loves Sota. It'd be hard, but it's an intense scene which was fun to watch. So, Suzume wakes up and in like this abandoned warehouse place where she sees that Daijin is the new keystone, is what's known as the Ever After, which is where the worm lives. And she's all sad about it. And then she has the idea to find Sota's closest living relative that would know something about the closers. So she goes back to Sota's apartment, find the address where Sota's grandfather is, goes to the hospital, and tries to speak with him. And as she speaks with Sota's grandfather, she tells him that Sota is now a new keystone, that it's his duty now to protect the world by sealing the worm. And Sota's grandfather is just like, it's my grandson's duty now. Leave him alone. He's doing what he has to. I forgive you of any guiltiness you feel because of this. Now let me die in peace, woman. That's basically what it says. He's like an old grump. But, Suzume's like, there's no point in living in a world with me if I can't be without Sota. And that's when Sota's grandfather realizes that Suzume loves Sota. So he explains to her that the reason that she can see the Ever After and the worm and others can is because she traveled to the Ever After when she was a kid. And the only way to get back into the Ever After is by going through the same door that she went through as a kid. So, Suzume heads back from Tokyo to her hometown to find the door where she went through when she was a kid. However, during her expedition on the way back to her homeland, she runs into one of Sota's friends who is basically a loan shark, and he says, you're not going anywhere without me, I'm coming to find Sota. And she's like, why are you helping me all of a sudden? I thought you hated Sota. And Sota's friend's like, I'm mad at him right now, but I'm worried about him right now as well, okay? And so, we also get, finally meet up with Suzume's aunt again, who's been, like, traveling all across Tokyo looking for her. So, the three of them start another journey across Japan to Suzume's old home where she can find a door to cross into the Ever After. It's pretty cool, I guess. So, on the road trip to Suzume's hometown, they run into another stray cat, which I guess was another keystone. Either it's like a family of Daijin, I think it's his mother, but there's this one scene where they're like 20 miles away from the Suzume's hometown, and Daijin's mother like says something, and then they're all like, Daijin's mother is like, it's about time you notice that we can talk. Something like that. And, they're all in shock of it, and then before they get in an accident with a semi-truck, they look back on the road, and Soda's friend swerves the car off the road and crashes. But it's kind of funny, because the roof of the car, like, during a rainstorm, he tried to put it up, and it stops, like, a third of the way to the very end of it, and then the roof comes up all the way, and he's like, hey, the roof fixed! And then he opens his door and it just falls off. It's kind of funny. Like, imagine, I think of a scene like that to where the GPS, if the GPS would say, like, you have reached your destination. That would have been hilarious. But it was kind of funny, too, to see him just open the door and it fall off. It made me laugh. So, Suzume says thank you to Soda's friend for getting her this far. She decides to go to her hometown on foot, and her aunt decides to come with her. She gives her a bike ride up all the way to Suzume's hometown, and there, we're able to find the door again that Suzume went into the ever after as a child. And so she jumps through with Daijin and Daijin's mother, and we get this awesome, like, battle with the worm. Like, Daijin's mother turns into, like, this cat dragon thing, and it turns into, like, this whole battle, which is really cool. Like, the music for this is something from Attack on Titan, like, super epic, like, these two gods at a battle. It's really cool. And then we have Suzume, who is looking for Sota, and, like, she finally finds the chair, and she's trying to pull Sota out, and Daijin's like, stop, Suzume! You can't do that! You're gonna die if you pull him out! And Suzume's like, I'll be the keystone! I just wanted him to have a normal life! And then Daijin realizes that Suzume loves Sota, so Daijin starts trying to help Suzume pull Sota out. It's cool. And they actually are a bit able to pull Sota out of the keystone slot. And you got Daijin who's like, Suzume, I'm sorry. I can't be your cat. And then he goes back to his keystone form. And, like, the worm is starting to collapse onto the earth. So you've got Suzume and Sota. They have the keystones of Daijin and his mother. And they're falling, and they're able to stick them back into the worm before it can fall on the earth. It's an epic moment. Super fun to watch. I loved it. It was a cool scene for sure. So Suzume ends up regaining consciousness from passing out in the field, and she sees the little version of her as that, like, 8-year-old girl that was looking for her mother that we saw at the beginning of the film. And Suzume comes to talk to her, and it's this whole conversation thing, like, I'm so sorry your mother's dead, things like that. And then, basically the whole message of that trying to get across is life is worth living, live it to the fullest, whatever comes across, just experience it for the best or the worst. It's a sweet moment between future self and past self, which is really cool. I liked that scene. And then the next scene we got is Sota and Suzume going back into the real world, leaving the ever after. And the movie ends with Suzume locking the door. That's how it ends, which is weird to me. Like, it didn't feel rushed. It just didn't really have a conclusion, in my opinion. It's just, okay, this is a good point. Let's end it right here. So, yeah, it's okay ending, but not the best. Alright guys, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked Suzume, give the video a thumbs up. If you made it this far in the video, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Also, comment in the video what your favorite Makoto Shinkai movie is. Suzume is definitely not my favorite. I would say my favorite has to be Weathering with You. That movie has such great music, such beautiful visuals. I love that movie. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.